Telkom knockout final 2017. Bidvest versus the Clever Boys. Lesimwelele Esamaselo Tomalomfantini.
It's about obviously the club doing well, and that's the most important thing.
Hujwaba Tumkhotsi. Hujwaba Tumkhotsi. Terbona Kamani. Header. Oh, come up the other side of the ball. Kamal. Tarekulwa Kamal. Kamal Goal! Wakimoto! Wakivarara! Bape! Labante Bloemfontein way!
And as I said, in South African football, one goal wins games.
I'm disappointed with the result, but not disappointed with commitment of our players.
We had 4 victories now, we'll be top of the league in the cup, and maybe do the cup now, but we'll enjoy the moment.
Shilo Shamanyunyu, Shilo Shamunantiga, Bona, Shilo Shama Bubbly.
Well, since 1995, it's been a 22 wait for Bidvest Witze to win the Telkom knockout, and they are crowned champions. Thank you so much, all the super disky commentators that really added so much spice to the event at the Princess Makoko Stadium. Having seen the stadium lighting up in fireworks in celebration of what historically would always be remembered as a final within 90 minutes that was wrapped up, and so many talking points as well that come through as far as the game is concerned. And no better people as well to talk to with regards to the Telkom knockout final than 2 individuals that were physically at the venue itself. And starting off, I mean, from a youth perspective, we've got Amanda, who was there in studio with Julia. Good to see you. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Robert.
You look angry. Are you okay?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
I'm never angry, hardly ever.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, not intimidated by a shock?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Nah.
Piece of cake?
Nah.
Yeah? If you had to rate, just from a footballing perspective, that final, 1 out of 10, give me a number.
5.
A 5. It lacked what?
I think just that aggression of a cup final. I felt there was a bit of mind games, a game of chess. Both teams not really wanting to make any mistakes. Hence, we also saw with the subs later on in like 88 minutes, that's when we started seeing the subs. And maybe the coaches had preempted an extra time, maybe possibly penalties, of which I felt the game could have been wrapped up in 90 minutes. So I think it lacked that bit of an aggression as to gloves are off and then let's just entertain the crowds, get more goals. But I think it meant that much to both teams that they had to be very tactically aware in terms of how they approached the game, whether it was to be cautious or not. And hence, I think the better team won on the day, of which of Wits were very experienced in terms of cup competitions, but also in the way that they always, I think, approach games and cup finals.
No, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, here's a coach who's a 4-time PSL champion, as well as multiple other domestic cups as far as Gavin Hunt is concerned. Let me ask the very same question. I'm going to make this straightforward. Out of 10, what's your score?
4.
4. That's 1 down. Why?
Yes.
What did it lack?
Just everything that we needed to see in a cup final, Robert. Before I come, maybe I talk about the actual game itself.
Sure.
For me, maybe the venue also took a little bit of the spark, because I'm thinking, I was looking at the stands, there weren't as many people. I'm thinking that game was taken to Elokshin for the fact that maybe the people will embrace it, will come in numbers and really make it an exciting experience for everybody that was there. And I had the opportunity as well to chat to some of the Celtic supporters who were not happy at all. They felt like they had no seats, basically, to stand throughout the game, and they felt very uncomfortable. Remember, Robert, a cup final is not just about the football. It's an event.
Sure.
It's got to, the atmosphere, the venue has got to be an attraction for people from wherever to want to go there, not just to watch the game, but for the place where the event is happening. And I felt like that maybe that took the spark away from really creating the right kind of an atmosphere. Yes, the football itself, a little bit too rigid from both coaches. While Gavin Hunt at the moment, you can't blame him. His team is not playing the best football, but they're doing enough to grind games. Look at how many goals they've scored. 6. I mean, for Bidvest, that's way too low. And so you can understand maybe he's positioning as far as the structure of the team to be a bit defensive. He played with 4. In fact, if I have the chance, I want to look at the formation so that I can tell you exactly where did he win it, where did he nullify anything that Celtic might have tried to put at them.
All right, so, I mean, it sounds like what the two of you are saying, that chess game, that very careful game, playing not to lose approach, and then hoping that if you go into an extra time, you go into a penalties, you've got your reserves that are there, but Gavin kind of made that right sub. In fact, let's have a look at the starting lineup so that we can actually qualify exactly what we're talking about here, because when it comes to the game, the formation overall, when you start at with the Bidvest Wits and you look at that lineup, they started with Darren Keat coming through. And starting the game, and you look at Abokolani Mlambo in the previous game, we had seen again Amanda, he was the man of the match, so he earned his place there. If you're looking for a cup winner, you have to look no further than a Dane Clayton. Here is he, multiple caps that he has. I don't think there's something that he hasn't won so far in his professional career, and he was there. What for you kind of stood out as far as either inclusion or exclusion in that team?
I think Capadinho was one inclusion where I felt added a bit of the spark in terms of attack-wise, because he has been suspended for 6 games. Coming into that game, that was his first game of the suspension, and you obviously posing a threat in terms in front of goal, and that bit of hunger where game time is concerned, and I think he contributed immensely in terms of the attack, but obviously the chances didn't come through. But also when you looked at the bench, you could see that some of the changes were forced by the action during the week in the PSL. And I think when you looked at it, it was a more of an attack-minded team. We had also Dylan Klaassen, who was added into the frame. So I think the coach really wanted that to happen.
All right, I mean, let's dive straight into those opportunities. This was one of the most bizarre, I don't know what is going on here. Mhlawumbe kuthiwa umuntu waselokishini phakathi kwaZulu ubufike la ngazi, but bagejile laba bantu.
No, mina bengithi mhlawumbe kufakwe isihlabathi laphayana sasolwandle. No, I think, yeah, well, to be fair, defensive organization of Bloemfontein Celtic, you can see that the coach is doing something right.
Yeah.
They're very solid and they don't give anything away in terms of space, time on the ball whatsoever. And it was unfortunate that the previous...
All right, and I mean, another great save. We will have a look at Kamal Amir later on. As far as individually, again, Amanda, we've seen his contribution to this team, whether his comeback from playing for the national team straight into a Wits, just the control and ultimately shot first time, doesn't allow the ball to bounce. Those are qualities that you want to see within a striker, and how he just makes himself available. He provides assists as well for his teammates, but he's always in where Mark Williams calls the kitchen.
And I think the interesting thing that contributes to that is that he's always buying himself extra time and extra space on the ball. If it is that you look at his movements, when he doesn't have the ball. And I think those are some of the critical things that coaches want, what you do when you have possession of the ball and what you do when you don't have possession of the ball. And I think he buys himself so much time with the movements that he makes before he receives a pass or the ball. And if he doesn't score, he's making sure that he gives assist to his teammates.
All right. I mean, there were 4 changes that were made in that starting lineup. We saw that lineup that we showed you. Klaassen, Capadinho, as well as Ali, were those players included. And then you had Cloneo, Njangas, Frosler, as well as James Keane. A player that, I don't know, William, you would have probably expected him to start, but he didn't. But the coach had enough faith in the players that he replaced them with. And especially at the back where you solidify, Hlajwayo comes back, you don't take a risk. He's your #1 choice. You field them all the time.
Maybe I'll quickly to start with the goalkeeper. Obviously, he was injured at the beginning of the season. He's made a return and has played key games from the time that they played Polokwane City in the semi-final or in the quarter-final. He was very key because he made some great stops to see them into the next round. Again, against Kaizer Chiefs in the semi-final, almost similar performance. Fantastic kid has been in goals for Bidvest. But obviously, you see the return of some of the players that were key last season again, alongside Keith, who was very key in seeing them win the championship. So the return of Nazir Ali, experience more than anything. He wasn't looking for him to go forward too much, but to hold shape when necessary. But for me, tactically, where Bidvest maybe played their part to perfection is how they crowded the midfield. On paper, they look like a 4-4-2. But Clayt doesn't play wide anymore. He plays a bit narrow. So is Klassen on the right-hand side. He wasn't playing or hugging the touchline. He was a little bit narrow. Then what does that make Wits look like? They got Monare, they got Umlambo, and they got Clayt, and they got Klassen against 1-2 of Celtic in the middle. Two very fantastic midfielders who have been key in helping Celtics lately to play the kind of game that they've been playing. But because of this crowd of Bidvest, you could see, you'd have seen some of the shot, basically. They were not given time to spring any surprise ball going forward into the attack because they were being closed down. Beautifully, that is where, if you were to look at the shots taken as well, in as far as attempts at goal, very minimal from Celtic, a team that has really been on the rise. People will be surprised, how did that happen? That was key. Basically, Gavin Hunt had it all. Had his duck in a row in as far as planning for Celtic in this particular day. And of course, waiting for the right moments to go forward and be able to get that goal right at the dead when everybody was expecting an extra time.
All right. And I love the fact that you've minimized it when you talk about the opportunities that they had. A lot of goal-mouth action happened inside the Celtic goal. Patrick Tinier was called upon to make some dramatic saves as well, but then flip it around.
Yes.
Because you and I right now, we're going to look at some of the chances that Celtic had. And then we talk about their approach because they've been solid. This is a coach that has turned this team around. And the fact, again, Willie, that they are in a cup final says something about a team that's also in the top 5 as far as the league is concerned.
Far and few of this type of chances. Nundu gets these opportunities under pressure, doesn't have time to bring the ball under control to take a snapshot. But a great attempt nonetheless, considering the pressure that he was under. Look at the bodies behind the goal action, which makes you understand why they were Celtic had minimal chances to take a shot at goal.
Oh, but there's a lot of hope and hit there. I mean, as professionals, yeah, it's good to take a shot immediately, but you know, you got to get a bit of direction. You got to get a bit of control to wrap your foot around that ball. We didn't see that there.
Yeah, well, I think it's credit to the last line of defense from Bits. They had all their best players who have been out due to injury back in that lineup, and that really made so much of a difference. And you had the likes of Mkwanazi and Tyson, let's say, in central defense. And then, like William says, they packed the midfield, of which that didn't allow any space for Bloem Celtic, and therefore the only way that they could go was to long-range shots.
Now let's have a look at the winning team. The winning team had 6 on target. And obviously from the 6, 1 resulted in the goal. Celtic only had 2 on target and nothing happened.
That's my point, mate, Robert.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you have that kind of a crowd, you got Klassen, who's more of an attacking midfield, and then Clayt beside Mlambon and Monaro, who are a bit more defensive, means you'll have more inroads towards into the area where you can hit the opposition. And that's exactly what happened. Yes, there weren't too many, but you can see this is what the structure was all about.
But the impact was there. What I like about those stats is that when they look at the ball possession, there wasn't a dominant team. There wasn't a team that you would say dominated the play. It was literally just shading by a couple of percentages as well, which means Celtic were just in the game as much as Wits did. It was just that tactically and from using your reserves, Gavin was able to jump on board quicker, and you saw the result with the Pule goal.
Yeah, and I think also it has to do with the starting lineup of Bloem Celtic, because we saw most of the attacking players on the bench, and you would have thought that maybe they would have come on in the 65th minute, maybe to possibly force a change. And here we see in the 71st minute, we see Klassen going out and Bule coming on. And then you can tell that the coach wants something to happen, but the reaction from Bloem Celtic was the complete opposite. Hence, I'm saying that maybe the coach had preempted an extra time, because he had the likes of Mahlasela, who are on the bench, who are known for their attacking qualities, and you had the likes of Jackie also on the bench, and I felt that maybe that lineup sort of let them down.
All right, I mean, there you have a player that's come on in the 72nd minute. In the 90th minute, what does he get? He gets a goal. So what do you need from a player who's coming in to make an impact? You need an impact, and he certainly did. But one with class, one with character, and one with a great deal of flair as well.
I think we've got to look at the overall move, Robert. Jamal has been brilliant. In the goals that he has scored, you can see there is a high level of quality in the way that he uses his vision, whether to deliver a ball into the right area for the rest of the team to play. But first of all, maybe a few mistakes by Celtic, where I felt like they didn't do their job well.
In the build-up to the goal.
Build up to the goal.
Okay, let's have a quick look at that, because I know you've got your pens and your needles out. What's going on here?
Yes, the ball gets played. Morale plays it into the wide area, and Dane Clegg picks it up. And being left-footed, he obviously wasn't going to dare go into the touch. He brings it inside, where I felt like maybe Fumbizai could have done better in closing him back, because the minute he brings it to his left, you know he wants to whip it in the box. But then he has the space, he whips it beautifully. And Jamal, I think we need to go back and see what he did here. He's alongside Ndengane. Just in front of Ndengane before the ball gets paid. He makes a quick step forward, and then he turns back. Ndengane, by the time, has lost the flight of the ball. That's why he misses the header. And, of course, the rest is history. The brilliance in which he waved off Ricordo to clear himself that inch of space to cut that ball back.
Sure.
As for Pule, wow.
I mean, it's a touch of class. It's a touch of genius. You know, when you do step overs again, Amanda, you've seen the ball on the ground. You've seen the player with both feet on the ground. That guy was doing step overs in the air.
In the air. First I've ever seen.
I mean, he's doing step overs. I don't know. Maybe we'll get the producers to take it back to that moment again.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about a goal genius and you talk about a cup final that's going to be memorable, they said 4, he said 4, she said 5 out of 10. Now, to take this final to a different level, it needed something like this to really make it memorable. And it's an individual bit of brilliance that makes it classy like that, Amanda. You're about to tell me, you're going to watch it again. You'll see this aerial step overs, unheard of.
It's class though, Robert, because it comes with confidence. And I think what people don't realize is that Jamal has so much confidence. He oozes confidence every time he takes on the field. And he's not afraid to make mistakes, because at that point in time, you have to try, you have to make a plan. And though I feel that the Bloem Celtic defenders, Ricordo, they fell for it very easy. And I think the first rule that you have to do is you have to close the line. I mean, it was so free. The step over, and they didn't know what else to do. So, yeah.
I think, look, Kamal, I know Sekipit, but to SAA. I mean, the SAA is just flying over people. And you've got to remember as well that Kamal, as far as the Telkom knockout is concerned, has been involved with 4 goals. 4 goals in a tournament that they've gone on to win. He scored 3 of them. He's provided 1 assist, and that is why they are the champions as well. So a great deal has lay on his shoulders, and he has not disappointed one of those key players for Bidvest. But with that said, you've heard from the crew here in the studio. Let's find out from the coaches in their own words.
I thought the first half we were good. I thought we were on top, and we were very unfortunate. In the second half, they hit the bar as well, to be fair, and they were much better than us the second half. They got on top of us and started winning a lot of second balls. They played 4 up, And then I made a few changes to try and be positive and try and, instead of sitting and waiting, I thought, well, let's try and win the game. The space was there, and I thought we just needed 1 ball. And as I said, in South African football, 1 goal wins games. And, we won the game. But, I mean, one of those things. I'm happy for the players, happy for the club, and that's important.
So many emotions right now. Very, very proud. Hasn't been easy. The season hasn't been easy for us. But we needed this trophy. I think, a lot of people don't realize that's 3 trophies in 13 odd months. And that's a massive achievement for any club, particularly a club of our stature.
For me, to be honest, it's the greatest achievement ever. It's been 33 years with this team. I love, to say to the CEO, to the COO, Jonathan Sludge, we've been together for so long. Come together, it's unity. When there's strength, you've got everything. But through God, you achieve everything.
I think Ikene, then Ke ipoleletse fela hore re ke eketse mosebetsi just team e ntse e dlala sharp then ka re ke eketse mosebetsi then goal e itlela.
Well, amazing reaction coming through from the champions, and we certainly do celebrate them here today on Extra Time. Now, a lot of you are reacting on social media and on Twitter. Alfie says, watching a well-orchestrated goal like that and no crowd to celebrate with us, a very sad one as well for Telkom knockout final. Professor says, 4 out of 10 fits the script, but Jamal is a gem. Says it's a gem.
Perfect.
But you know, jam says gem. But I'll fix that for you, don't worry. Finisher by birth says, Gavin Hunt is the Ferguson of SA football. How about we knight him? Just a thought. How about we give him a national team to coach at some point or another in his career? Other coaches have had to come back twice or 3 times. Huh? Just once. This guy's won things that nobody has won.
He's one of the few that hasn't been given a chance. Out of all the other coaches that have done well locally, I think Gavin Hunt is the last one to be given a chance as well. Why not?
Well, hopefully they don't wait until he's like 85 and he can hardly even know which players are there. And Prof says, well, spot-on analysis by Amanda Dlamini. The game was very tactical and boring, but you got it spot on. So one agreeing with William, one agreeing with Amanda. And Daumlambo says that, well, that Jamal Amir guy is something else. He's going to go to terrorize defenders this season. And William Sipuru says the TKO final really disappointed. It looked like a normal PSL game fighting for 1 point. And Dao says that the game took a spark away because the giants of football were knocked out of the tournament. I don't know. I mean, that's another debate. Who are the giants of SA football these days? Who are the giants?
Are the teams that are winning things, Robert?
See, ask us, what? You had mini rice today, you sharp, huh?
Well, I think it's as simple as that, Robin.
Mini rice and cabbage, no? Yes, that's great. All right, Juicy Lips will be with us. Babes Wetiski will be with us after the break. We also got a bit of a surprise. A certain doctor will be with us, joining Mr. Spot On as well. I don't know if he's here to doctor Spot On or Spot On to doctor the doctor. I don't know. But we got commentators who, if they're not working, actually support teams. I don't think you know that. Now, if you know Mapale Moloi, you know Mapale Moloi?
Yes.
Yeah. Loves Bloemfontein Celtic. And our cameras spotted him. He didn't think we would spot him, but hey, HD, that's what happens.